Okay, so welcome to the second part of our Makeathon presentations. First, I would like to call the winning team from Poitiers. They had a very nice idea about rainwater and urban heat islands. So, Suleiman, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for listening. And before starting, my name is Suleiman. I'm a student in the second year of bachelor degrees in geography and urban planning. And today I'm with Antoine, also a student in geography and urban planning in master degrees. And we've been working together on the rainwater capture to supply urban cool islands. First of all, it's important before talking about urban cool islands to speak about the urban heat islands. It's an urban phenomenon that represent where places are I don't know. Sorry. Urban heat islands are places where temperatures rise by significantly by the reason of density of buildings and heating materials such as asphalt and concrete. About the consequences, the urban heat islands are becoming a major issues in many cities, including Poitiers. And scientists of the University of Poitiers developed a project called the HINOV project, which consists in identifying, locating, and studying the consequences and impacts of urban heat islands on everything. And the observation is that urban heat islands have impacts on biodiversity, human health, and buildings. These include an increase in the risk of cardiovascular disease and dehydrations, the contraction and expansions of clays, exposing buildings to major risk during torrential rains, and the threats of biodiversity loss. Solutions to urban heat islands can be the urban cool islands, their natural system to regulate and cool the temperatures in cities. We got the example of the Jardin des Droits de l'Homme in Poitiers. But however many issues do appear with this kind of solutions. We can talk about the availability of green spaces, the problems of roots system about the trees, and the water problematic, how to store and conserve water, and for what type of use. If we use the water for supply urban cool islands, and another issue appeared, the issue of the water quality, and I will let my partner speak.
Okay, now to solve this problem, we have come up with a different prototype. One of them is aimed at resolving the issue of water storage. You know that during raining period, excess water is not probably managed. Generally, flood in the river, the Vienne River. Our first solution is to retain water on the roofs. Yes, retain water on the roofs. A prototype adapts on the low-income housing and some inner city buildings. Your second prototype aims at storing water on the walls of building. This solution is adapted to older building and residential areas. The stored water will then be used to supply urban cold islands at the right moments. These two prototypes can link together You can combine it, roof storage and wall storage on low-income housing. Thanks to this type of storage, coal island can be supplied during heat waves. It's important to remember that the rainwater is polluted with virus chemicals, making it unusable for human consumption. We are therefore proposing some innovative ideas. It's phytoremediation. Phytoremediation means that rainwater was is cleaned up of rainwater using plants. Phytoremediation means that rainwater that was previously unusable can now be used. For example, in the city centers, where it's no longer possible to plant trees, we propose the introduction of artificial trees. The design can take the form of an art orbit, for example, made from recycled wood and acting as coal islands. Plants able to phytoremediate will be put on this tree. The rainwater collected by our prototype will pass through the artificial trees, and the plant installed on the tree will phytoremediate it, making it suitable for consumption. It can therefore be used to irrigate various urban coal islands, such as vegetable garden. The artificial tree can also provide shade. Our innovative idea solves a number of challenges. The first one is water storage. Thanks to our prototypes, rainwater cleaning using phytoremediation, the creation of shade to enable to hide from the sunrise during heat waves, reduces heat island temperature, and the last one, to allow space requirements.
About the actions, we already plan to integrate the ID program. Is a collaborative program made by the university foundations of Poitiers that aim to bring together teams from different fields on general projects in order to develop. And we have identified other companies to work with it. For example, Cactile and Suprema for developing storage for roofs and walls. Pictamap also for seeing the good impacts of the effective impacts of these artificial trees in the cities, especially for the urban cool islands effects. And of course, Grand Poitiers, in order to work with the specialists for including these solutions in cities. About 2025 to 2027, we plan to, by the integrations of the IDEA program, develop and design these prototypes, and we hope that for 2028, the installations of these solutions in ECTU cities, and get probably 1 year later feedbacks on the good effects. Thank you for listening, and special thanks to ECTU.
So we're waiting for your startup to happen. So that's not optional now. We know that you're going to install the prototypes in the EasyToUse city, so you can, talk to your lighthouses of innovation and get your startup running with your idea. As a, fellow geographer, I feel very, drawn to your idea as well. So thank you very much. And we stay in the field of sustainability. And we now hand over the stage to the team from Turku, and the topic is Green Space Takeover. So welcome. Come here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Green Space Takeover as an strategic asset for the city. My name is Juan, and together with Sana and Kaisa, we came up with this idea. And this all started by us asking us one question, that is, how might we recognize and consider the diverse values of nature in urban planning? While reflecting on this question, we came up with two main problems. The first one being that people value different things when it comes to green urban spaces in urban areas. For some people, they may value the value of biodiversity, the capacity to produce food. They may value green urban spaces as a meeting point, as a source of entertainment, and more of this. So in this case, we consider that cities must consider all of these components when planning a city. The second problem that we came up with is that many urban spaces don't create value for the citizens or for the ecosystems. Most of the green urban spaces that we may see in a city are lacking some maintenance, lacking some diversity, or maybe also empty, just simply empty. So in this context, we came up with a solution that is called the green space takeover. We attempt to solve these issues by letting the communities create the green urban spaces that they want. This is through an adoption system, as we want to call them. And it is part of the city strategy to increase the strategic value of certain areas. We came up with a 6 steps plan to develop this strategy. The first one is that the city creates or updates the strategic plan of the city for green spaces and chooses the areas to take over from areas where the improvement of green spaces may provide value for the citizens or the ecosystems. On the second step, the community apply for the area to take over and provide a plan for it. So what exactly is it that these communities want to make or do with the area that they may take? On the third step, we believe that democracy is fundamental to ensure a proper distribution. So on the third step, the citizen votes for the best plans and organizations. On the fourth step, then the city makes some sort of contracts with the communities that want the area that they want to take over. These kind of contracts are more just on a short-term or a fixed-term contracts in which we set up goals and plans that can be later evaluated and assessed by other citizens or the government itself. On this note, the step 5 is taking the citizens' feedback on each one of the projects. So the idea is to engage all the other citizens with the community's projects. And in this way, we can take feedback and improve to further projects. And on the sixth step, it's just kind of the same. We take all this feedback and see the areas of opportunities to the next round of applications. We believe that many communities will be interested in this kind of processes, of these kind of projects. On one side, we can have special communities, religious communities, or even educational communities, some private citizens and people that live in these areas. We also have here environmentalists that take care of the environment, that are aware of the importance of it and want to encourage the creation of biodiversity spaces within a city. Hobby communities or even enthusiasts, it doesn't have to be a community or an organization, it may be just individuals. On this note, these organizations can later join forces and search for sponsors for bigger projects as this project further develops. We want to emphasize here that this process is not linear. Although we came up with 6 steps, the idea of it is that it's rather a circle, a chain of value. It starts in small places, small projects, as part of the city strategy that later develops. The second step that is increases the area value. When the area value increases, then we have stronger communities. The stronger communities engage people, and we have much happier citizens and more engaged citizens. And that's the idea behind the project. We can start very on small areas and further develop and scale up into much better plans. And the value behind it is wide. It decreases vacancy, it increases the demand of housing, and it helps financing renovations of areas or even housing projects. It's very cost efficient, and the diverse and interesting new areas increase the residential area value. It empowers local communities and support local democracy. It connects citizens and associations by creating meeting places. It reduces loneliness and promotes an active lifestyle. It supports biodiversity and hospitable environments for insects and birds. And well, it's a very low risk kind of concept. We always start to pilot on low stakes lots and areas needing improvement, but it's also easy to scale up into more visible and ambitious projects. On this note, well, we want to ask you, are you ready to take over? And we also included here a QR code with some projects similar to the ones that we are proposing here that are being done in private communities or maybe smaller sites. There's several examples. You can see some of them here, and if you have some questions, we may explain how this all works, maybe. So, thank you. And
any questions?
Very little question. Congrats for this project. Very, very interesting. I'm wondering where the money comes from. I mean, imagine that you are going to a municipality to ask for funding to the civil servants or to the politicians, because this is a very brilliant public policy that can be implemented by a municipality or regional government. Are you considering to ask to do that process, and how you consider to get stakeholders, I mean, in the private sector to support your idea? Thanks.
well, it all starts, some of the examples even that we have here, the idea is just, first of all, is giving the area, and then the community itself is who starts working on it. Depending on the context, you may get funding or not from the municipality. It depends on the strategic plan that each city develops. The main idea of this is just giving the community the power to do whatever they want. They can even make value out of the areas that they may be given. But it's very dependent on the context. The area that you want to take over, it's small, it's big. If you're using it to grow food, for example, and you can create value out of it. So, for example, we have these little groups of people that start growing crops in some spaces of the city that may be forgotten or maybe not as taken care of as they should. And that's a value creation process. So in this case, we start like small, depending on each city, and then we can scale up. We can either also engage like different organizations that may be able to sponsor this, as I'm affecting directly a community that may be happy with me. Me as a private investor may be interested into funding some of this. But again, it's just a scale-up process.
So hi, I'm Sanna. I'm other participant here. So about the city, I think many cities already have some kind of participatory budgeting or some kind of processes. In the examples, if you scan the QR code, you can find that in Finland, people have, or cities have already this kind of rental contracts for lots. So this could be kind of same kind of project for the city. So I think there are already structures that could support this, and taking this over by the city wouldn't be such a big task and wouldn't need that much like extra funding on budgeting.
I have another question. Thanks for the presentation. I'm wondering how you think is the best way to select the plots, the places to refurbish, to put it better. So you do the mapping, you receive applications for communities, or it's the municipality is going to choose? In which way you think is better results?
Yeah, it all begins with the city itself. Each city has their own plan for the city, how it grows. So the city and the municipality create the city strategy plan. And within these plans, we want to take some little areas that they may say, okay, this is a low stakes area or an area that has a lot of potential, but as a municipality, I don't want to invest in it right now. Or that's not like on our budget. So on that side, it starts like that. It starts on small projects that the municipality itself says, here we have an area that will have some potential, and then the communities apply to it. Yeah, that's the idea behind it.
So just to remind you that everything that you've heard today was developed within 24 hours during the Makeathon in teams that have not known each other before. So they just came together to the location and online, got together as a team, and then developed that solution within 24 hours. So that's really impressive. So for now, we are coming to our virtual track because, as you know, we had location teams and location events, local events, but we also had our online track. And the online track was especially developed for those who are interested, for those participants who are interested in joining a European team, because also the language was English. And I will welcome you, Diana, just a second, because you will receive something special, because you are the one, because it was an online event, who has not yet received the award. And it is my great pleasure, not only as one of the organizers of the Makeathon, but also as the challenge giver, because you actually developed a solution for the challenge that we have, presented from the network that I'm representing about science communication. So first of all, Diana, this is your award. So, and with that, we're now. Shall we do it again? Congratulations. And now we're looking forward to your presentation about science communication. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Diana, as you know, and I am a bachelor student of artificial intelligence in Johannes Kepler University in Linz, Austria. And my team, together with Mario and Emma, were developing a solution for the topic of how can we make science more accessible and fight science skepticism. Okay, so, so as you know already, science skepticism is when people are skeptical of scientific knowledge, and in general, they do not trust scientists or people who come from academia. And recently, there's been a rise of news titles about how more and more young people and in general working class people do not trust scientists. There is a rise in conspiracy theories. There is a rise in such things as climate change denial, anti-vaxxer movements. I think it's something that everyone knows and heard at least once from any news media outlet. And many people ask, why does it happen? Because we live in the age of digital progress. We have so much access to different sources that before people couldn't imagine. And with all this abundance of information and resources, people still do not trust scientists. What does it happen? We analyze this issue and realize that it doesn't come from the lack of information, from the lack of resources. It comes from such factors as, first, credibility and trustworthiness of a source. And many people do not trust scientists because they believe that those people are so detached from their world, that those people only live in their own academic world, that they're not trustworthy to general public, that they have some connections to corrupted authorities. And because of that, it creates this distrust among people who may not have been interacting with scientific world much. Another huge factor is inaccessible language of most scientific research, because again, a lot of people do not have resources to always keep up with new terminologies, with new terms, with new language, and it also can create a divide between people. And at some point, people cannot keep up with the new information because they just do not understand it on some semantic level, on linguistic level. Another huge issue within the scientific community is, ironically, lack of sense of community. Because what do conspirologists provide? They provide a sense of belonging to a certain group with a label, and you feel much more belonging to people with the same worldview and people who share the same ideas as you. For example, in my country, I come from Kazakhstan, there's a huge rise of anti-vaxxers, and it's mostly parents who are very, very skeptical of vaccines and in general medicine, medical field and healthcare. And this creates a lot of issues with public healthcare because there are literal outbreaks of diseases, especially in such places as kindergartens and schools, because their parents do not want to vaccinate their children. And a lot of parents, they trust each other more than to a scientist or a doctor who has, again, like some specific knowledge in that regard, because they think that this person has more proximity to them in terms of community. They feel sense of belonging in those groups, in those chats where they share this information that promotes anti-vaccination rhetoric. So this is another huge thing. And also, feeling of exclusion. A lot of people are so hostile towards scientists because a lot of them come from academia, which is seen still by most people as something from another, maybe upper middle or higher class, which creates a sense of exclusion. So again, it's not that there is no information about science and scientific field, it's that people do not trust the source as much. And our solution is called Science Bridge. And we mostly will focus on providing opportunity for people to build a sense of community, to exchange knowledge and build network with people who may be skeptical of science in the first place. Because as we've seen before, many such events that are targeting science skepticism, they're targeted at universities and college students who are not that skeptical of science, who are already in academia. What can we do to make people from other areas, for example, rural areas, right, trust scientists more? Okay, first of all, imagine specialists in scientific field. Sorry for the typo. Yeah, what would it look like? Probably something like this. And this is not to jab at all the university representatives and academics who sit there, but a lot of people have this a bit of a distrust to a person who may look like they are coming from a very privileged background, especially if they themselves are not. And as we know, a lot of people in academia, they come from families or, again, socioeconomic background where their other friends, relatives, acquaintances are also usually in academia or at least have similar educational background. And our vision is to invite people to a real-life event, right, organized in the form of a conference, of a scientific conference, but it's going to be mostly people from applied fields that are also proficient in their field, who also possess hands-on knowledge, but may not fit into the stereotype of a scientist over academic person that we usually see on those scientific conferences that are held regularly worldwide. And it can be a nurse, it can be agricultural worker, it can be a miner, it can be anyone who works with scientific knowledge on a daily basis, who deals with scientific issues, right? But with more hands-on applied knowledge. And the question that could be raised on such event can also be potentially what might concern the public, right? People who are interested in how science is applied in real life. And the question may be, as provided on the presentation, how do diet and nutrition influence overall health outcomes and disease risk? What are the potential benefits and risk of genetic technology in agriculture? Because a lot of people are very vigilant of genetically modified products, right? And this is something that agricultural worker can share information about. Okay, what is climate change impact on global food security? Also another topic that concerns many people. And how does vaccination impact the spread and evolution of infectious disease within communities? Something that a doctor and nurse can share, right, information about. And what will Science Bridge offer? Basically, first of all, digital platform to connect people in the first place, but the main thing is going to be event, offline conference, and online offline events are not a new thing, right? It's something that already was proven to be a great way to create networking among people, to create community, but we will emphasize the representation of people from underrepresented backgrounds and also experts from applied fields. And again, promotional campaign with a social message of fighting science skepticism. And why it's so important to gather people from underrepresented backgrounds? Because also what draws people to such conference and events is their proximity and familiarity with a speaker. And if a speaker comes already from a background where most of their friends, acquaintances, and relatives are more or less educated, right? It's not going to create as much impact as if a person from, for example, rural area comes to such conference. It attracts people from their place, from their local community by mouth-to-mouth marketing, right? And it's gonna create this bridge, right, between underrepresented areas and academia in general. We, during our Makeathon, thought a bit about the joint projects or the organizations that can provide some sponsorship, right, or collaboration. And we thought about World Wildlife Fund or Patagonia. And these companies, organizations can also benefit from such event by getting promotion, because that's how usually the collaboration between such organizations and real-life events happen. And also, this is our implementation plan. And as I described before, first we're gonna launch awareness campaign. Then we will highlight resources and benefits to all the stakeholders and collaborators. Then after that, we will start phase of application and selection of experts. And there's gonna also be training workshops, trade fairs, promotion of local businesses, and the last phase, of course, is evaluation and just reflection on overall event, how successful it was. And our call for action is, again, to build stronger communities, because this is what scientific field lacks. This is where it loses to conspirologists and other anti-science, science skeptical communities. It's that people sometimes don't feel the sense of belonging to the field. And that's it. Thank you so much.
That is a huge challenge. I'm just curious, how are you going to build AI into your digital platform? What were your ideas there?
About AI, it was mostly...
Because if you use AI on these topics, a lot of bad stuff will come back.
I know. That's the point that, we added during the Makeathon, and that's why I didn't elaborate as much. Thank you for noticing. Because I also, when we were discussing with my teammates, right, we were also thinking about how AI is such a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it's something that promotes innovation, but on the other hand, would a person who is skeptical of science trust a machine to explain the topic? So we mostly thought about it, implementation as like maybe helping the platform work a bit faster, to maybe connect people a bit faster, but the main communicators will still be people, real life people with real stories. And AI was like added more as the some of the facilitators, but not the main agent in our project. Yep.
And how will you choose? Sorry, there was too many questions. Is this one now?
Okay.
How will you choose the people from the community to come into your events and make sure that they are not seen as sold outs by their colleagues?
Sold outs?
Yeah. Uncle Toms or whatever you want to call
it. I got what you mean. Well, I think that.
Because that has happened.
Okay. I think that if one or two people are selected into a very exclusive event, it may look like those people are sold out. I would agree. But I feel like if event mostly, like for the most part, connects people from the same background, it kind of builds another sense. Because I agree. If a person is feeling like a white crow, right? I can see how it can create more skepticism among people from their own community. But if they see that this event kind of connects people from some background, of course, you cannot prevent any skepticism, right? But it would lessen it, in my opinion. Yep.
Thank you, Diana, for the presentation. I find science communication a fascinating field. Actually, it's part of my daily work. So I understand that it's very difficult to come up with a solution within only 24 hours. So congratulations already on the idea. But I think that science communication, it's very much needed nowadays. That we are living this misinformation and external interference. We are bombarded, by fake news everywhere, and it is a very difficult. But I was wondering, because I was curious when you showed your implementation plan. Why are you targeting SMEs as a primary target?
You mean target as an audience?
Yeah.
We thought about different demographics, and it was a bit hard for us to choose one age demographic because it's kind of the issues that are spread throughout all the age demographics and everything. So we thought more about just in general people who are skeptical of science because they are not in academic field. So that's why we didn't target specifically students or specifically, people who already work in academia. And I know that the target audience may sound a bit vague, but that's why we also wanted something that can be applied not in a too much narrow way, but kind of like have a bigger scope. Just in general, people who are very skeptical of science, people who do not trust scientists. And we kind of saw that it's usually people who are, again, working class people or people from rural areas, people from places where in general the science communication is not as much discussed, right? And there is little bridge between, again, academia and general public, except news, except media outlets, and that's it.
So should I understand that people, working in SMEs are or should be more skeptical towards science than others? Is that?
Again, we cannot claim that every working class person is skeptical of science or something. Okay. But just in general, if you look at it, it usually comes from people who are not in academia. We cannot have one specific target audience because science skepticism is something that is so loosely tied to many demographic parameters. And that's why we have this a bit of a vague target audience. But in general, we just want to show that you can look at science from different angle, from the angle of people who have hands-on knowledge and have to treat science not as something purely theoretical, but have to deal with issues that arise from scientific knowledge on a daily basis. That's our main idea. Mostly, how to look at science from a different angle.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there was one more slide, but it's gone now. It was just one slide saying thank you for inspiring us. And I actually want to thank you a little bit more than just say thank you. That's why, sorry, bear with me. We now use the word of, he's a mathematician, Harry Baker, and also the word Poetry Slam winner for some years ago. And I will use his words to say thank you all for your participation and your wonderful ideas. So, bear with me. Of all the words you'll ever hear, remember these. Life is too short to eat celery. Life is too long to feed jealousy. And life is likely just the right length to need therapy. May you be seriously silly. May you be wickedly kind. May you be brilliantly dumb sometimes and yet stupidly bright. May you certainly have doubts. May your weirdness be the norm. May the coolest thing about you be your warmth. May you be powerfully vulnerable or at least mightily soft. And trust, whatever makes your heart grow, cannot be a waste of time. It may not make you money, it may not even make sense, but if it makes you happy, it is worth it in the end. There's more in you than you could possibly imagine. The very fact that you exist makes everything a bit more magic. When it all feels too much and there's little you can do, may you still see the best in people and may people include you. May one thing match the gravity of all you've ever done, this wonderful reality, the best is yet to come. So thank you very much.